So, hello, good afternoon. Welcome to our webinar today. The topic is Fronius Solar.WEB for better customer support. We're very pleased to have you here today, and we from Fronius, the team is, it's me, my name is Hans Pelzer. I'm doing the presentation for this next about 30 minutes. And beside me is Sandro Köhl, also from our trainings team. He will be taking care about your questions. So feel free to send us your questions during this presentation and also afterwards, and we will try to answer that immediately and give you feedback about that. Why is that topic so important? Fronius Solar.WEB is actually a tool which you can use for every PV system to get all module data, all data everywhere, wherever you are on this planet. And I'd like to give you now more details about the general way to bring a system online and to get data in SOLAR.WEB, as well then how to use the data at the consultancy. So when you are at the customer and you would like to explain him something, or you would like to give him the best solution, I would like to show you a way how to do that. And second, as well, the service, which is also very important to be able to offer a good service support, fast service support, as well as to save trips, possibly if you have if you're uncertain about the error at the customer. So these are the main points. And before I would like to start, I would like to ask you a question. So basically, how do you use SOLAR.WEB at the moment? And the answers would be yes, but just in private usage, just for your private installation, or do you use it also for system monitoring in general for all your installations? Do you want to receive the error messages? Do you do that already? Or do you use it at the customer, at the consultancy, to calculate the ROI, for example? Or do you have no experience so far and you would like to use SOLAR.WEB in future? Good, I get already some feedback. Please feel free. You can also choose two answers. That's also possible. So I would like to wait another few seconds, and then I'd like to, yes, I get already more than half of you have already voted. That's great. Thank you very much. I closed that now. And the result is that most of you are already using it for system monitoring in general for your installations, what you have done. 20% have no experience and 10% of each for the other answers. So great, good, thank you very much. Then I'd like to continue and give you more information about how to use SOLAR.WEB. Basically, how to start with SOLAR.WEB. You know, with the Fronius inverter, you have the integrated data manager card, which is included in the inverter. In the standard inverter, it's a Primo, Sumo, or Eco inverter, whatever you have this card integrated. And on the card, on the Wi-Fi card, you get, which is a kind of data log as well. We send data to the router and to SOLAR.WEB. Then you can monitor that with your laptop. You can see the data wherever you are, and as well, or with the SOLAR.WEB Live app, you can also do the monitoring on your mobile device. Additionally, we recommend to use a Fronius Smart Meter because with the Fronius Smart Meter, you are able to see as well the consumption data of the house. And this is, of course, very important whenever you would like to get a faster return of investment, whenever you would like to use system extensions, load management or energy management, whatever. So basically that's what you need. The software is free of charge, You just enter SOLAR.WEB.com, you register on this web page, and then you have your you integrate the system into your account. That's all you need to do. Very soon we will also have an app available for Solar Start, a Solar Start app, which is the app to the commissioning. What you need to do is here you just enter you just use the wizard, and you have first network settings, so you get the data to the router. You connect to the router. Second, you do the product settings like the setup and certain other components what you need to integrate. And finally, then the last point is SOLAR.WEB integration. So you send your data to your account in SOLAR.WEB. The activation via the Start app will be ready in July this year. So in a few weeks, you will launch this app. At the moment, you do the same thing with your laptop. You can also connect via the access point to the inverter, and you do the settings also with the wizard, but on the laptop. So that's it for the commissioning. Then basically you have two accounts in SOLAR.WEB. We have the free account and the premium account. The free account is free of charge, and the premium account has some cost for you. So therefore, we charge you an annual amount, something like 24 euros, a bit different in the countries. Whenever you start with the Fronius Solar.WEB homepage, you go to login. On the login, you enter your email address and a password, or you register new, and then you have to send us your data, and then you will get your account with your password. That's it actually, yes, for the start. Then when you have your system in SOLAR.WEB, you see on the first page the bubble chart, the current power, what's going on at the moment. You see the energy flow from PV to the to the loads, the household consumers, as well to the grid, and probably as well battery if you have battery connected. If you want to get more details, you can just click on the bubbles and you see more about the actual data. On the bubbles, you see as well the current flow, in which direction the current flow, because it could come from the battery or it could go to the battery. So therefore, we use these bubbles showing the direction of the energy flow. So this is very useful, easy to understand even for the end customer. When you then go to the energy balance, you will see the daily curve as well. So the production of this day or the last day in a standard is 3 days over the last 3 days. You see the data, and you see that in production on the on top, where you can see the production curve as well the consumption in dark gray below, and in yellow the energy which is going to the battery. So that's on the production side, and if you go to consumption, on the picture below you see in red the red part which is coming from grid. So nighttime, in this case, the energy is coming from the grid, and then it's coming from your PV system. We also show here, if you click as well on the monthly, daily and annual diagrams, where you can see data from each day, and you can see how much energy you have consumed on your own in dark gray, how much energy has been fed to the grid in green, or how much energy was going to the battery in yellow. So that's basically the basic information about the production, the yield, and the consumption. In the overview, as I told you, you can register, you can use here data of many of your PV systems. So basically in this case we have here 6 systems which are on my account. I can monitor all these 6 systems, and the starting page is showing all your systems. Also showing the production at the moment, the current energy which is produced from your PV system. And additionally, you can also get the error messaging. So whenever you go to error codes, you will see in the message center, you will see the error messages or state codes which appeared on those systems over the last days or months. We can also compare 2 systems here, possibly if you would like to choose 2 of these, and to see if the yield is correct. You can also compare 2 systems easily out of this on this first page already. So this is the system management, and here, as I told you, when you are installer and you have many of your systems, you just see on one page every system, you see every production of each system, and you see as well if there's anything wrong on one of these systems. Yeah, then what's now the difference to the premium version? The premium versions gives you the possibility to see the production consumption across the system run duration. So every day you can see this daily curve, even from years ago. We have also customized reporting, so free configurable channels and time periods where you can choose different parameters of your system, and you want to get reporting every end of the month, for example. You can get here the data out of the system, and we'll send you an email to your account. We can also get a permanent overview of the consumption of the energy balance, and you can get the cost control over a certain period. In this period, we show you what have been the savings, what have been used from your PV system, and what was the yield, and so on, all data. Additionally, 2 points more new now. We can also calculate the ROI with the SOLAR.WEB tool, and we can do a consumption simulation. Consumption simulation means that if you would like to use a battery to calculate the savings, more or less, if you would have a battery. So it's simulating a battery and showing the data with a battery, how it would like with a battery. Also, we have a usage of the new energy meteorology. You can see the weather data as well. You can show that on the next page. This is also shown on the SOLAR.WEB starting page. You see the weather forecast as well. On the next 48 hours, you see the PV production forecast. So what would happen on the next 2 days? And you can see that as well in the daily curve, how the production or the yield forecast will be developing on the next time. So, but this is only premium, the premium version, and this is only for one account. The weather for widget is only available on one account. This is also important on one system. So if the end customer is using it, then he has to pay for it, of course. And as well, if you would like to use it on your system, then you also need to pay for it. So this is the premium account then. Good. This was more or less the general information, and now I would like to show you how to use the SOLAR.WEB data in your at the consultancy, at the customer, or with the customer, or at the planning of a system. What data will be shown and what data can be used for the consultancy. Before we do that, few steps how we go with the SOLAR.WEB registration. So whenever you have a registration, you have registered your system in SOLAR.WEB, or you have your SOLAR.WEB account and you have your PV system, you should also do the warranty. You can also get an extended warranty with the registration already. So basically you can choose between, usually you can increase the warranty period from 2 to 5 or 7 years. So that's the basic start where you should, of course, do the registration in SOLAR.WEB, because you get longer warranty term. Second step is the data monitoring. So that's good, because you, when you arrive home and you would like to see after you have done the installation a week later how the system is performing, if is everything fine, is everything running well, you can do that from home, and you know that everything is fine, and the customer can get the invoice and need to pay for it, of course. The next step then would be the data analysis at the customer, and this is the interesting point now, which I would like to show you a bit more in detail later on the next slides. So basic idea about that is you arrive at your customer in a certain period after you have done the installation, maybe 6 months, maybe a year, and you have you give him advice what to do, how can he improve the system, or what additional steps can be done with this system now. And the last step is then the system extension, where you, for example, where the customer would like to have a battery or any other solution to improve the self consumption or whatever. So this is these 4 important points. And now, what's interesting for the customer? Basically, it's very often the question: what's my own consumption? What's my energy cost savings of last year? Or how is the system performing? How can I improve my own consumption and self-sufficiency? Or how can I improve my energy cost savings? And last but not least, what would happen if I would use the Fronius OHMPILOT to generate hot water, or battery storage? If I would add that to my PV system, how would then the savings look like, and how fast would be the return of investment? So these are the new things here. Now, I'd like to guide you through these next steps, how to do that at the customer possibly, or just before you go to the customer. When you go to energy balance on the starting page, you will see the production. The production in total of all years. So if the installation has been done in 2016, for example, you will see here what's my own consumption. In this case, it's 19%. You see in dark gray the consumption from the household loads, which have been directly used from a PV yield, and in green is the power which has been fed into the grid. So in this case, another 81%. That's more or less the first approach, and you could say, okay, this is something which you could improve possibly. On the second page is the consumption data. On the consumption data, you see what was my result after installing a battery, or if you see 2018, where we had only about 40%, 30 to 40% own consumption, and a big amount was coming from grid. On 2019, where we have installed a battery, we could improve that from this 40% to about 80% now. And that means these are my energy cost savings. So I have 80% energy cost savings now. And with that number, of course, the customer can see and you can explain him how to do that, how this was possible. Next, beside the consumption is the return on investment. On the return on investment, you see the details about the total savings, which consists of the yield and the savings. So in this case, about 702 euros. And on the expense, you see what you have still consumed from grid. To the expense, the actual energy cost. In this case, we had 1,300 euros in energy cost this year. And of course, this is not very good because we only have savings of about 560 euros. So there is something to be improved because possibly we have no battery or whatever. So basically with that, you can also calculate the return of investment. Good. Then this was about that topic. And then if we go under analysis, we have now a new feature, the OHMPILOT simulation in SOLAR.WEB, where you can now do the simulation if you would have an OHMPILOT generating hot water. I just click on the heating and on what heating source I'm using at the moment. Is it oil, gas, or air heat pump, or whatever? And then I also need to enter the boiler size, how many liters hot water do I need every day, and the energy costs and the feed-in tariff. So that's basically the data, and then you go to simulate, and you get as a result the self-consumption has been increased now from before about 30% to 66%. You see also that the energy in blue, what the OHMPILOT is consuming, and you see that on the right-hand side that my heating system lifetime have been increased by 10 years because we're calculating that the customer can switch off his heating source in the summer period. Also, you have savings of, in this case, of 217 euros because you do that with your PV power. And the yield has been per year by 17%. That means the return of investment as well can be realized in about 6 years for this investment. So we also see the heating rod. So basically good information for the customer to see, okay, what would be the result when I get from this OHMPILOT, when I generate my hot water from PV, what are my savings, what is the benefit out of it. Yes, and similar to that, we can also do that with the battery simulation. In the battery simulation, you can also do similar. You just need to select the battery. In this case, we have a 6.4 kilowatt hour battery from BYD. I can also go to simulate, and I will also see the self-sufficiency, which has been increased to 86%, and the self-consumption, how this would be developing. So basically, in this case, the self-consumption increased from 82 to 86%. This is not very much because the system already had a 5 kilowatt hour battery. So we just have added one module, one battery module, which you can also do later on with BYD. So when a customer would like to see what would happen if I add another 1 or 2 modules, how would that increase my self-sufficiency and my return of investment. So this can be easily shown here with this simulation. Yes, and last feature is the energy profiling. If you would like to see a more detailed consumption data of different loads, you can also add additional smart meters. So up to 3 additional smart meters can be added. And for example, you would then see, this is now shown in green, for example, the green curve is my consumption of the EV, of my EV charger. and I can see here exactly when the EV charger was consuming the energy. And in blue, I see the color, I see the consumption, the total consumption of the house as well. So that's one example where you can differentiate in that tool here, and under history you can find this data. You can select different channels here, and you can show the consumption. You can show also other parameters here with that data. So that's basically the way at the consultancy when you would like to give your customer more information about his PV system, and if you would like to explain him the possible solutions for the future, what he can do in the future to improve the system. Good. Then let's go to the last point, to the proactive service. How can you improve your service when you have your system in SOLAR.WEB? Basically, all you need is, again, the system must be online in SOLAR.WEB, and you have possibly as well the SOS tool. This is an online tool you can find under sos.fronius.com. You can register here, and you can see, you can do here with that tool the troubleshooting. So whenever you get any service messages, you can enter the service message in the SOS tool, and you can will be guided through the steps what can be done to solve the problem. Here again, to see how this could look like. So basically, you first do the analysis. The customer is calling you because he has a problem with the system. The system is not working correct. Then you can first enter your system. You can see the data, what's produced at the moment. Is there any energy going to the battery? Is the battery running very well, and so on. So you get here your first information. As well, on the daily curve, you see the production from this day, and you can see if there were any interruptions or if there was any problem in the yield at that day. So this is the first step, and then you get also these service messages. When you go to service message, you see what service messages appeared, at what date, what time exactly, at what system, and you see a status code and also a description. With this status code, you can enter this status code in SOS then, and then you get the troubleshooting, so you get the steps how to solve the problem, or possibly which hardware components need to be ordered to solve the problem. What else can be done in SOLAR.WEB? Another nice thing is the remote update. So you don't need to go to customer. So whenever there's probably a problem that you need an update, a software update, you can do that now via remote. So you just enter the system, you go to components and enter this device, this inverter, and just click on update, and you will get the new update on the inverter automatically. So that's these are the advantages, and basically, once again, the main advantages for you with SOLAR.WEB online systems. You have your free of charge worldwide monitoring. You see the current energy flow. You see always what's going on at the moment. You see as well what happened in the past in the energy balance. As well, you can offer better customer care, better customer consultancy, because you get your calculation of ROI, you get your system extension simulation with the battery system or with the Fronius OHMPILOT. You can calculate the customer, show him in advance what he can expect in the future. So you give him more information about that. And in case of service, you get the error message just immediately when there's a message sent, and you can also do the troubleshooting from home and the update from home. So you don't need to go to the customer. You save one trip to the customer, and you can probably solve the problem even without visiting the customer. Yes, and finally, last but not least, the Fronius support hotline is also always very happy if they have a system in SOLAR.WEB, because then they have also the possibility to do error diagnosis. And when you call them, you don't need to explain along every situation, because we just need to enter the system with the system name or with the data logger ID number, and we can immediately check the system here from our tech support team and give you feedback about the situation, what can be done, what's the problem at this installation, and so on. So basically a win-win situation for each of us, as well for you, as well for the end customer, as well for us as well. So a real good thing to be used. Good. Then I'm actually at the end of the presentation now. I would like to give you first, if you need more information, feel free to go to our webpage, www.fronius.com. Under Solar Energy Info Center and Installer Support, you can find the trainings, webinars, newsletters, as well other detailed information about data monitoring, about SOLAR.WEB, and about how to bring the system online. So that's all. The commissioning of the data manager is explained here, for example, as well. And feel free to get your information from there, and as well feel free to contact us for trainings and webinars as well, to look at the videos on YouTube, whatever you need. And different documents are also available for these systems. Good. Then I'm at the end. I would now like to ask Sandro if he could give us some feedback about the questions. Sandro, have you got any questions which we can answer right now?
Yes, thank you very much, Hans, for this very interesting presentation. We received many questions during the webinar. I just want to point out now two questions which I find are quite essential when it comes to SOLAR.WEB. So the first one is the hardware needs. So there was a question, what do you need for Fronius SOLAR.WEB apart from the inverter? Hans already mentioned it at the beginning. So the base to have this SOLAR.WEB, all the visuals, is of course the Fronius inverter equipped with the data manager card 2.0. And if you want to have this complete monitoring, we all the time recommend to install a Fronius smart meter at the feed-in point. That means directly after the grid meter, there is situated our smart meter, which is essential to get all these energy flows from and to the grid and have the full monitoring and full visualization in the Fronius SOLAR.WEB portal. And another question was a little bit off topic, but of course also very important, I think. So there was a question if we have a solar hot water product. That means a product with which we can make hot water out of PV energy. Yes, of course, we have the right product. Therefore, it is the Fronius OHMPILOT. So actually, in few words, what is the OHMPILOT? That's a byproduct of our Fronius inverter, which does dynamic regulation. That means according to your PV surplus energy, one-to-one, the energy goes, the excess energy goes into hot water. That means you have got a thermal storage opportunity with our Fronius OHMPILOT. If you're more interested in that, we are all the time having webinars about it, and also you can integrate this in your SOLAR.WEB. You see your consumption and also the simulation Hans showed us already. Okay, so that was it so far. We will stay online a few minutes, and I would pass back the words to my colleague Hans to.
Okay, Santos, thank you very much. Great. Yeah, I'm actually also happy to have you on this webinar. Feel free to get your information from us, and we wish you a good, successful time with SOLAR.WEB and with our inverters, and all the best, and hope to see you once at one of our next webinars or trainings here in Austria. Thank you very much, and goodbye.